Good morning, Mr. Jeff here from AKLA Martial Arts, the American Kempo Leadership Academy in Hudson, Massachusetts. My website is karateforfree.com. That's karate, number 4, free.com. We teach martial arts, and we also have a yoga program, and we have what we call a hybrid program where you study both and you learn the transparent concepts of both. So these live videos go out to the realm of all three of those, particularly my students first, who are also stuck in the house, just like you viewers. They start with this, or they have the option to start with this in the morning time to go along with their training schedule, set forth to assist them with getting schoolwork done, managing responsibilities at home, and still having a little bit of free time. So today, I want to talk about the main difference between how I teach yoga and how you may perceive it to be. I've had some interest in that and understanding what I mean by hybrid training and transparent concepts. So today I'm going to show you one of the key differences that sets our yoga program apart from, let's say, a traditional yoga program. So when you think about yoga, you're thinking about people maybe just sitting in a fixed position on a yoga mat usually, and holding that position and just moving from one to the other in whatever fashion that system calls for. Traditionally, that's very simple and usually involves mainly stepping back and forth each time. Right? So the way that the maneuvers happen are a little bit different with us. They are transparent to what we study in the martial science or in the martial arts, as some people understand it to be. It's maneuverability. So starting with our feet, how can we maneuver into a position facing multiple directions? So rather than focusing on the front end of my mat and the rear end of my mat, now I'm using an imaginary mat because we don't need to use a mat here because the entire floor is a mat. But for all intents and purposes, you can envision the traditional mat that you stand on. So sometimes I'll face the side of my mat. Sometimes I'll completely turn around and face the back end of my mat and go in both directions. Right? So we're building our visual awareness of the room around us. Now, some of the maneuvers that we do often will take you through one movement and then reverse you back to the other one. Rather than my right foot's in the front, I do all of this motion and then I come back up. Now I go to the left this way. No, we'll physically move our whole body. So that way we can get a different perception of the space around us each time. So let me take you through a simple exercise. And it can get complicated if you overthink it. So there's two different ways you can look at this today. We use the clock system. So the wall that I'm facing, I call that 12 o'clock. That's the starting point. As soon as I start moving, that stays 12 o'clock, it doesn't change. So whatever walls I'm facing would be lining it up with the clock system. So 12 o'clock is in front of me, 6 o'clock is behind me, 3 o'clock is to this side, and 9 o'clock is to this side. We also have the corners of the room. Okay, so we have 1:30, we have 7:30, we have 4:30, and 10:30. You could get more precise and move into 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, right? 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Whatever works for you to identify those corners. Now visually, you don't have to name them. Right? So if I'm standing like so, and I want to turn and face 6 o'clock, I have to learn where to put my foot in order to do that. For example, if I put my foot towards 3 o'clock here, when I turn, I am not facing 6 o'clock, I am now facing 4:30. So it shows an important concept that we also teach in our yoga program that comes from our martial science training. If I need to face a corner, I'm going to step to a wall. If I need to face a wall, I'm going to step to a corner. Very simple. So if you intend on facing a specific direction, let's say I'm going to use our neutral bow stance today. And if you're studying yoga, we call this warrior. Depending on the placement of your foot, it might fit your perception of what you think the warrior posture is. But in our program, the neutral bow is congruent and transparent with the warrior. All of the positions we go through will variate that. Okay? So I'm going to use the warrior, or the neutral position. Remember, it's neutral because 50% of my weight is on each leg. I'm not favoring one over the other. Neutral. Okay? Now, whether or not I have a yoga mat, this will still apply. I want to work that warrior position to the back wall. And I want to turn from the mountain position, or natural, to Tadasana, they call it. So I'm going to step behind myself towards the corner behind me, right here. So when I turn, now I'm in a good position facing this way. Now I want to do it the other way, with my left foot in front. So I go towards that corner, and I turn. I'm facing that way. If you're using a mat under your feet, think about maybe not going wider than your mat, but also not being dead center on your mat. You want to have space in between the feet. It's the most important part of the neutral position. It allows you to settle your weight in your center of gravity, so you're balanced and sturdy. So now, I'm just going to step forward. Okay. Then we'll go through it again. I'll face 6 o'clock. Just getting real basic with it so you can feel the maneuvers. Now we can get a little more complicated. I want to face the corners now. Well, I'll step straight to the side, pausing in what we call the twist. And then when I turn, I'm facing that corner now, with that space in between my legs, my center. Now I can go the other way, to the wall, now facing the corner. Now we'll take it a step further. More of our advanced black belt students are familiar with this. I'm going to go around this way. So when I turn, now I'm facing that corner. A little more complicated, it takes a little more oomph up here. So make sure as I'm stepping, I want to face that corner. So I'm going to try to step to that wall. I'm going to try to step to that wall behind me. So as I turn, there I am. So we don't get super complicated per se when we're going through a guided yoga class, but we will try to stretch your mind a little bit and get some thinking going on about what you can do to adapt this practice to really get some interesting benefits from it. Now, if I wanted to go this way, I could just step my foot out and end up there. Likewise, normally we go forward into it, or we can step back into it. Sometimes we'll do maneuvers that just completely seem out of the box. Well, I know that if I'm starting on my yoga mat, I'm typically taking one step back. I might take another one back and then go back forward this way. Or I might just go back to the front to switch my feet. Well, what if I take 2 steps? I start from up here, I go back once, there's one position. Now I go back to another one, here's a different position. Now keep in mind, we have 3 things we can do with our neutral position to shift the weight of our body. Right? So we could shift it forward, like so. Instead of it being 50-50, it's 60-40. I'm shifting it forward. Or I can shift it back a little bit, this way. Now, depending on how my legs are, I can get a good stretch there. Or I can bend it a little bit, lift my heel if I need to, it's fine. But what I want you to see now is, as I'm doing these 2 steps, I could step right into a strong forward bow. That's what we call that one. Then I could step back into another strong forward bow. Or I could do opposites. I could step back into a neutral bow and then a neutral bow. Or I can combine both. So first I'll step back, neutral bow, but then I'll step back, forward bow. It doesn't have to be fast, but it gives you a grounded position to feel. Now I just move back into the other one. Now why would we do this in a yoga class? I can tell you why we would do it in the martial arts class, and the concept is transparent to why I teach it in a yoga class. It has nothing to do with fighting. It has 0 to do with fighting. It has 0 to do with hurting people. It has everything to do with what's going to happen by accident to catch you off guard. Let's say I'm just walking down the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden, somebody slips on the ice, and they fall forward right into me. And I get knocked back. What if they fall forward trying to catch their balance and their foot hits me and I get knocked back? Right? There comes into play practicing 2 steps, because statistically speaking, from my own observation and when I get caught off guard, I'd say 80% of the time it takes 2 steps to catch myself. Typically you're not going to see, right? Depending on how extreme the incoming force was. Right? Especially if you see it coming at the last second, and you can kind of maneuver with it. Right? But we're going to assume that you don't see it coming, and somebody just bumps into you. You need to feel what that's like, right? So I do the first step, and then I do the second step. I don't have to do it fast. I can do it super slow. This is a little step. And then this is a strong, grounded step. And if I have to, my hands are up too to help me out. Now I can try the other side. I go 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Okay? Now as you're doing that, you're building in a practice in your muscle memory that will help you one day when you least expect it. Okay? It's going to allow you to not get caught off guard, slip and fall, or at least increase the chances that it won't happen. Nobody's perfect. This stuff doesn't make you invincible. It just makes you more equipped and betters your chances for success in multiple places. Not just physically, success in evading danger, but success in seeking out opportunity, seeking out growth. Now, this gets me to what I want to talk about today on the character side of things, is timing. a lot of these things we're learning have timing, right? I'm not just going to, as soon as I see something, try to do it as fast as I possibly can. No, I'm going to go as slow as I can to learn what the timing is of each maneuver. I have to have patience. I have to trust that everything happens in its own time. And when we discover that timing, we start to see how many things we can accomplish when we do trust that it works out in its own time. And we stay focused on each step. Now, physically, metaphorically speaking, it could be seen when I'm standing in these positions. For our martial arts students, that's what their black belt training is all about. It teaches you that there's a specific amount of time required in order to get from one position to the next. But also, more importantly, let's say I set a goal. If my goal is to get a 4-year college degree, well, I know it's going to take about 4 years to do that. Sometimes there's faster ways to do it, and if I'm motivated, I'll find those faster ways. But I can't go so fast, I can only go so fast before I start getting sloppy, right? And things start slipping out of my fingers, and I lose a sense of control that I did have over my process, right? Over reaching those goals. So being patient is key. So for instance, this thing I'm showing you here for yoga, we could add a few other things to it. The hybrid students and the martial arts students will understand the motion. The yoga students not so much, but you can still do it and feel the positions, right? So first my left foot goes back, and as it goes back, I'm just gonna bring my arms down like so. That's number 1. Now number 2, I'm gonna step back to that position as my arms go this way and get set up here. Now this can be seen as a warrior position. In yoga, when we're in that warrior, we could be here. We go a little further here and feel how we can reach with the back, or the rear as we call it, when we're in that forward bow. In this case, my hands are here. I have one going this way and one going this way. That's number 2. And then number 3, I just turn this way. And number 4 is a bit of a balance. So doing this one slow is difficult. I bring my knee up, then I kick, then I bring it down, and I lift up with this one. Now I'll try it on the other side. I have number 1, and then I have number 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's 6 steps in that. Now, in terms of timing, as we practice this more, you understand that there's a couple of things going on in each position. In between 1 and 2, I also have 1 and a half, where I turn my hands this way now. I didn't do that the first time, but now I'm doing it the second time, and those of you who are working this motion might be able to catch on to this. I don't want you to go out like this. I want you to go out like this, and then do this, while the transition into step number 2 is happening. Then as you land, this and this stop together. Then I go right through with this one, and here, and here. Timing becomes very important in the motion, even if it's a form. Now that's the second thing that sets apart our yoga from traditional style yoga. We are applying a particular form to it. Not just a form in terms of standing in one fixed position and getting into a properly aligned position. All of that stuff is good, but we actually have forms that teach your body how to work together. So it synchronizes the upper and lower half of your body to work as one unit. Now again, it doesn't have to be for self-defense. It's purely for health, purely for the mind, right? To stay focused on particular patterns that keep you sharp, they keep you patient, and they keep you humble because they're always challenging you. So when we learn the timing, we can see sometimes the motions relate. So now as I go a little bit faster, I turn the speed up from low to in between low and medium. So I didn't hit medium yet. I go halfway in between low and medium. And at any time, if I want to pause for a second and try to work on the balance of a particular posture, there I go. We'll do stuff like this in the yoga classes all the time. This is really hard. It's just as hard as doing something like this. But we try to work applicable motion so that way if you decide to become a hybrid student, some of this stuff will fill in nicely with seamless transitions. It's kind of like in the Karate Kid movie where he's learning wax on, wax off. You're learning something every time you move in our classes. So one more time from the side now. On here. Now I'll go this way. Okay. So play with that. Now, if you're not, that's a bit of an advanced motion too. If you're a beginner, just start with the beginning, right? I'm just gonna go like this. Just start with my legs. In fact, our beginner martial arts students can relate because they have a form that they do where they step back into the neutral bow twice. Right? And they might even have their hands there. Right? So play with that. Stepping back once, stepping back twice. And then as you're working your stances and your positions, well, I'm familiar with the neutral bow. I'm familiar with the forward bow. Let me practice both of those. I'm gonna do forward bow and then forward bow. And if I look a little more at this video by rewatching it, I might notice how I'm in a forward bow, but then I go to a neutral bow. My hip is turned, and then I'm right back into this position. Same thing when I looked at this one. I'm going from a forward bow to a neutral bow, and I can go super slow. And then just change my positions. Now I'm facing the corner. Okay? So things aren't always as they seem. But practicing the motions even when they feel awkward is still teaching you something important every time. So if you're not interested in trying our virtual program, but you keep watching these videos, please share these videos to anybody you think that would benefit from any of this information. I'm going to put out a multitude of things, hand-picked from our program, Monday through Saturday for these videos. And on Sunday I'll put something out too, but typically pre-recorded content with some more advanced ideas from my students who have been doing this for a little while. And some of the, as I call them, advanced placement students, those who are at a lower rank, but they're studying more of the advanced level stuff, kind of like a college credit course in high school. That stuff will be for them as well. And really, anybody who's watching, if it intrigues you, keep watching. And please do share. Thank you in advance for that. Now, you can try out our program no matter where you are for 2 weeks for free. If you want to learn more about our live interactive training where you can actually log into class and bring us onto your TV in your living room and have a live interactive class, we can do one-on-one. In fact, the first lesson is one-on-one. We do semi-live, which is a small group of people, maybe 3. sometimes no more than 5, and then we'll do group, where we could have 12 or more people in one class. So you benefit from all of them. We also have an online training system where it's some pretty comprehensive yet simple ways to help you maneuver through your day. Now, having patience, trusting that everything works in its own time, we know that life is going to get back to normal eventually. But we are here to offer this service to you just to help you manage it a little more. So sometimes maneuvering isn't just with your feet, isn't just with your body. Sometimes it's with your attitude, your character. I have to maneuver around the struggles of the day and still stick to my principles. So our black belt principles, we have modesty, knowing that nothing is beneath me, right? I am more of a servant mentally. How can I help those around me? How can I develop their life in a positive manner, just like I strive to develop mine in a positive manner? We have integrity. We always do the right thing, especially when no one's looking. And for the kids, without being told. We do what's expected of us, what we know we can do that we're responsible for, without being told. Then we have perseverance, never giving up. No matter how tough it gets, I'm not going to give up on achieving my personal best. Remember, I strive today to be better than I was yesterday, and I prepare and strive to be better tomorrow than I am right now. Okay? That also takes perseverance, but it also leads us into self-control. I control my actions, I control my body, and I control my words. In fact, we have a principle for our kids and for our students that we don't blurt out answers. We don't just start talking, especially when somebody else is talking. In fact, if I have the urge to blurt something out, I'm going to wait a minimum of 3 to 5 seconds before I even think about saying anything. And then I'm going to put my hand up when appropriate. And if by then I still remember what I was going to say, it's probably important enough for me to say. But it also gives enough time for my question to be answered in what I'm paying attention to. So kids, try it out. It's hard for kids these days. When you're watching a movie or a show with your parents and you don't understand something that's going on, don't ask. Just wait a few minutes and see if what's going on in that movie or TV show answers your question. It's the same thing in school when you're learning. It's a really valuable tip. And if you can apply that principle of patience and waiting 3 to 5 seconds using self-control, I think you're going to find that you're able to accomplish a lot of stuff in a small amount of time. So that's self-control. Then we have Indomitable Spirit. Indomitable, that's a really big word for something that cannot be broken down. It's something that's strong, right? My spirit, that's the unique part of me that nobody else has. I don't let that be broken by anything, no matter what. I know that I'm going to be a black belt someday. Nothing's going to stop that. I'm going to work towards that, and remembering what Mr. Jeff said yesterday. I'm Mr. Jeff, by the way. Just in case kids are getting confused. It's not about trying to figure out all the things that I can do and then try to do them perfectly, right? No, it's about figuring out what I can already do and doing it well. So I'm not going to beat myself up and say, oh, I just can't do that because XYZ, right? I can't do that because blank. Well, no, first of all, I can't do that yet because of blank. However, I am going to do what I can do, and I'm going to do it well, and I'm going to strive to be able to do that someday. That's the mentality you have with Indomitable Spirit and perseverance working together. And it takes modesty to do that, right? It also takes confidence. So all of these character lessons are intertwined in every single class, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's the group class, or our pre-recorded video library. So all of our online content. You will have a chance to kind of go through this and maybe hit the reset button. We're all kind of forced to do that right now anyways. We have time to reset, reformulate our lives. So what I want everybody to do today, students or non-students, if you're watching this, I want you to sit down and I want you to write down what your goals are for yourself for the next 7 days. And once you have that written down, I want you to call me or message me or go to karateforfree.com and set up your one-on-one introductory lesson, and we'll look at your goals and then we'll align it with what we're doing in class. And then we'll see how we can make those goals attainable, and then start setting goals for 14 days, and then for 30 days, and then for 90 days, and then for 1 year, and then for 3 years, and then for 5 years. You get the point. But it starts with the next 7 days. What goals do you have for yourself while you're stuck in the home right now for the next 7 days? That's your assignment. Write that down, and then we'll talk. Okay. So remember, the thing that sets our yoga apart from our from traditional yoga stuff is what we do with our martial arts training. We learn how to maneuver around the entire room in a systematic way that actually trains your body to learn specific patterns. Right? It trains your muscle memory, so that way, if something is happening that catches you off guard, you're able to just respond with a movement that you learn in your yoga and your martial arts training. That's such a valuable tool in of itself. But the character development training that comes with it, combined, I think you're going to really like it. So I look forward to meeting you, and thank you for watching. Those who have been watching all of these videos, feel free, if there's things you want me to discuss or talk about, if there's more questions you have, put them down in the comment section. Send me a message. You can find my email right on the website as well if you go to karateforfree.com. But I hope you're having a good day and things get better out there soon. And I hope these videos are giving you some valuable tools to help you stay productive in the home. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you very much. Have a good day.